Well, we're happy to be joined now by, look who snuck in.
Nice to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Chris Antonetti, and obviously with the trading deadline having come and gone, not that you pack up shop and go to the beach for the rest of the summer, because there are still deals that can be done here in the month of August. A little trickier, though, with players having to clear waivers. But first of all, just kind of give us your thoughts on how things went up and to and through the actual trade deadline itself.
Well, it was a really active deadline period for us, not only the last couple of days, but the last few weeks. And we went into the deadline with the goal of trying to make a meaningful impact on our team and support what the guys have done to date in the season, which has put us in a really good spot to compete for a postseason berth. And so we tried to do that and find different ways to make a meaningful impact. And with the acquisitions we made of Andrew Miller, Brandon Geyer, we think we were able to do that.
A little frustrating, though. We woke up and we thought we had the Lucroy deal done, and it didn't come out. And I mean, that has to be a little frustrating for you after all the work and hard time that you put into something like that.
In some ways, I think the nature of the business is there are a lot of different things that can happen. And that's one of the reasons why we always say a deal is never done until it's done and announced. So there are a lot of different complexities to work through, whether it's players approving no trades or ownership having to approve a deal.
Santana with a jolt, but a nice play made by Kepler in deep right field. But to be fair and to kind of clarify, there were reports out there that said the Indians had told Jonathan Lucroy that maybe he wouldn't be starting next year, that he would be playing first base, playing the DH role. And Mike Chernoff was already quoted on I think on a radio interview saying, we didn't talk to Jonathan Lucroy because you're not allowed to.
Yeah, we never talked to him. So. Yeah, again, what I am happy about is the team that we have, and the team that we had going into the deadline and the acquisitions we were able to make, and we feel like we've got a chance to compete and try to win our division.
Jose Ramirez taking a called strike now. Are there areas that you're still concerned about? I know I can't ask you about specifics and players and that kind of thing because there are still potentially moves to be made, but
yeah, I think, we've talked about this all the time. Part of our approach always has to be looking for ways to improve the team. The trade deadline provided an opportunity to do that. And now the month of August, there remains some opportunities. It's a little bit more difficult, a little bit more complicated to get, some of those players. But there will still be some opportunities over the course of the next month. And if we find the right guy that we think will help our team, we'll look to do that. And we'll also look internally because there are a group of guys in Columbus that we think could help us, whether it's either in the bullpen or different places on the diamond.
Can you explain to some of the fans out there how you have to clear waivers and how you would have to claim somebody? Right. I mean, it's tough to explain to them.
How much?
I mean, can you give us
3 innings?
Well, why not?
Right,
sure, why not?
So prior to July 31st, there are no restrictions on on trades between teams. Players can be traded freely. After July 31st, each team runs players through waivers, and the way you can acquire a player through trade waivers is either to place a claim in on that player, or if that player clears, meaning every team passes on the right to acquire his contract, then at that point they're free to be traded. If 10 teams submit a claim on a particular player, the only team that's eligible to negotiate with that is the one with the worst record.
Okay, so and it works its way up.
And then it works its way up. And then the teams have a very narrow window to try to negotiate a trade with just that one team. And if it doesn't happen, the team that player is currently with will revoke the waiver request, and then he'll just stay with that team and can't be moved anywhere else.
So it can be very complex then.
It gets very complicated.
Yeah.
And there are nuances to that and can take different shapes and forms, but basically if there are a lot of teams interested in one player, the only team that can get him is the team with the worst record.
I got you. See, now that's why people think, oh, go get this guy. It's no big deal. We can get him. And it doesn't work that way.
It does not work that way.
We try to tell a lot of the fans, even before the trading deadline, before August 1st or after it happens, there's so many things you have to go through to try and get a guy to begin with contracts, and it's just not like a little video game where, okay, you give me this guy, I'll give you this guy, and we go from there. Very difficult, isn't it?
It is. There's a lot to it.
Are you going on this road trip with us, may I ask?
I will be there. Yeah.
Okay, you need some rest and some sleep. That's what you need.
No, my family will be with me, who I haven't seen very much over the course of the last month, so at least they'll be there.
2 good cities.
Yeah.
I want to know what video game he's talking about that has trades in it.
Well, when you're a kid with baseball cards, video games and baseball cards. And we used to trade them, get them out of our bike spokes.
I think there are video games now where you trade players. Shows you how disconnected we are,
exactly.
right?
I'm just so shocked to hear it out of his mouth.
Come on, I got grandkids that do that stuff, man.
Geyer with a bunt attempt that goes foul. But Chris, it is kind of weird sometimes. Fans who maybe don't know all the nuances. Heck, we don't know all the nuances, and we do this every day. But in that August period, you'll hear like a big name player is on waivers, and it gets everybody's antenna ringing. Well, the reason is because the guy might be owed $50 million, and not anybody's going to put a claim in on a guy like that.
That's exactly it. And actually, every player almost throughout baseball is going to be placed on trade waivers at some point. If they're claimed, most teams will just pull that player back, and then he ends up not getting traded. The players that get through waivers are the ones that either have really big contracts or teams that aren't that desirable to teams for one reason or another.
Is that to get the value of the guy that you put out on the waiver wire to see how he stands out there? Sometimes,
yeah, you try to gauge interest from other teams, and I think honestly it's more of a habit that teams are just accustomed to doing this time of year.
Down on the dirt.
Some teams don't do it at all. Some teams will, different organizations have different strategies with respect to the August waiver.
Now, the big question I'm sure that on the minds of most fans, are you concerned with the recent starting pitching slump that we've seen?
I'm always concerned about everything. So that's the nature of my job, right?
I know you're not panicked,
but we're always thinking about alternatives, options, depth. It's something we spend a lot of time thinking about. So we'll continue to do that over the next month.
Well, I know you're busy. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you for the time.